3. Let's review. Listen and repeat. Adverbs of frequency. Always. All the time. Almost always. Usually. Normally. Regularly. Most often. Frequently. Often. Sometimes. Occasionally. Rarely. Hardly ever. Never. Phrases of frequency. Once in a while. Once in a blue moon. Once a month. Every day. Every now and then. A couple times a week. Free time. Stay home. Relax at home. Watch TV. Listen to the radio. Hang out. Surf the internet. Household routines. Clean the bathroom. Sweep the floor. Cut the grass. Water the plants. Dust. Laundry. Iron. Cook. Change the light. Listen and repeat.
I sometimes make spaghetti. I often make a vegetable dish or a salad. I always cook at home.
I never go there. I don't usually go to Italian restaurants.
Do you have it often?
No, I don't have it very often. I don't eat at Japanese restaurants very often.
How often do you relax at home?
I usually do it about 4 or 5 nights a month.
Do you normally watch TV or listen to the radio?
I usually rent a video or hang out.
Does she often wash her own clothes, or does the maid do it?
She always does all of her own cooking.
I go about once a month, actually.
Oh, I go much more often than that.
Well, how often do you go?
I go a couple of times a week.
Do you go exercise weekly?
I exercise now and then, but not that often.
Grammar boxes. I never go out. I sometimes make spaghetti. I often make a vegetable dish or a salad. I usually get sushi. I always cook at home. I almost always pay by cash. I rarely use credit cards. I hardly ever use checks. I go about once a month. I go a couple times a week. I exercise every now and then. I go to Robinson's most often. I visit my parents once in a while. I don't usually go to Italian restaurants. We don't normally eat out. She doesn't often see movies with her husband. I don't have it very often. I don't go to Japanese restaurants very often. They don't have dinner at home often. She doesn't cook for her family normally. How often do you relax at home? How frequently do they take a vacation? How regularly do you eat seafood? How frequently does he take a vacation? How regularly does she eat seafood? What do you usually order? What do you usually have for dinner? Where do they normally study Russian? When do you regularly buy your groceries? Where does she normally study Russian? Where does he usually buy groceries? Do you normally watch TV? Do you ever surf the internet? Does she often wash her own clothes? Does the maid often cook for her too? Do you have it often? Do they play the guitar often at parties? Does her maid go to her house regularly? Listen and repeat.
What do you usually have for dinner?
I like cooking. I never go out. How do you pay your bills?
I almost always pay by cash.
What's your favorite restaurant?
I love Luigi's Italian restaurant. What do you usually order?
Usually I get sushi.
When was the last time you just stayed home?
Oh, last week or so.
Do you ever surf the internet?
Most of the time, I do that at work.
Does her maid go to her house regularly?
The maid goes over on Mondays and Thursdays.
Does the maid often cook for her too?
No, my sister loves to cook. Do you go shopping at the mall a couple of times a month?
No, not really. What store do you go to mostly?
I go to Robinson's most often.